I mentioned planning. Pre-trip planning is critical. It makes for a pretty day on the water or a great day of catching fish. So when I'm looking at a place to fish, I'm breaking it down really a couple different ways. As I said, I'm using Google Earth, which you see the image on the left is Google Earth. The image on the right is the same location. In this case, this is a Navionic view on the right of Asquith Island. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Asquith Island, that is um, across from the Hooper Straits. It is Honga River area. Very, very good place to fish, very productive. A lot of our inshore charter captains fish this area quite regularly. So this is the same image of both. So let me do something here and show you with the pointer here how we break this down. All right, so if I go to Google Earth, this is the image I get. So what do I see? What gets me excited or not excited about this particular location? Well, if I'm looking at the location, I see here, these dark areas right in here are grass. Okay, well, obviously grass is good for fishing, particularly speckled trout in the springtime and the fall. So that immediately gets my attention as a possible target area. Also down here, I see the same thing. I see a pretty big a grass flat, but I also see a very thin peninsula right here. And this thin peninsula is going to have water going over it, whether the tide's coming in or the tide's going out. This is going to be a place where there's going to be, tidal flow. And of course, we know tidal flow is very important. So this whole area here really is quite interesting and will be a place that I would target. These arrows here indicate points. These points are places where there are depth changes, and fish are attracted to these places because these are ambush opportunities. So I would focus on those as well. Out here, this is a flat point. It's hard to see, but you can see it here on the other map a little bit better. This is a flat point. In other words, there's a ledge there. And what that tells me is that might be deep water. There might be a mud bank there that on a low tide, the water is going to go out to maybe 1.5 feet, 2 feet, 2.5 feet. But when that tide is in, it's going to be 3.5, 4, 4.5, maybe even 5 feet. That's where fish are going to be. So that's a very interesting place as well that I would want to check out. Now up here, of course, what do we see here? We see more points, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. These very irregular shorelines are generally very productive. You can quite literally fish point to point and catch fish, and we'll talk about that in a little bit too. Again, up here, what do we see? Another dark patch. That's going to be grass as well. All right, so flipping over to the other map, move this over here. We don't see many of those features. It's much more general. But with this, the Navionics map, we see depth changes. So let's say I go over here and I strike out. I'm wrong about everything, which happens, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save the day. So let me go find some transitions. Let me go find some deep water. So what I might want to do is go out here where we see these transition lines come together and narrow up. So I'm going to come out to these areas here. In this case, we have the channel here to the left, and of course, we have the shallow here to the right. We also have the same situation here at the bottom, which was over here. Now, this really excites me much more than this because of that point that extends down. Fish that will be found in shallow water will often for lack of a better way to explain it, leave themselves an escape route. They want to feel some degree of safety, and they'll come into the shallows if they feel that they can, can move to safer water, which to them is deeper water. I don't know what that is. Okay, whatever that is. Um, so when you have basically a 30 foot plus channel and a very short transition to 2, 3, 4, 5 feet of water on these points, it can be a really good, it can be a really hot spot. It can be really, really good there because if the fish get uncomfortable or the tide is moving, of course, and the tide's dropping out, and they're going to move to deeper water. So that's a good place as well. So basically, you have to use both to get an idea of the complete picture. And of course, you don't know really what the complete picture is until you really get out there.